Hello! It's been a bit, mostly because I am a full-time student and I work as well, so I haven't had much time to sit down and record a video, which is very sad. So this will be a video of 3 months. As well, I want to preference by saying I am looking here instead of here because I am still on my camera with my phone and I'm really tired, so I'm not trying anything new, and yeah. And we're sitting down because it's gonna be a long video and I just feel like we should chat and kind of like, you know? And like I said, since this is a long video, grab some coffee or a hot chocolate because it's cold, it's snowing like crazy right now, or a snack. You know, it's like 11:30 when I'm filming this, so whatever's your boat. Coffee's good. Let's just get into it because we have a lot of books to get through. The very first book I read, I want to preference by saying I do not buy this book personally, nor do I support the author because I know that is something that will be brought up. I don't support the author in anything she said. Quite the contrary of what I believe, actually. Is this the right word? Whatever. I don't believe what she believes. Fair. And that is Very Good Lives and The Fringe Benefits of Failure and the Importance of Manifestation. That is a wordy title. And I want to point out that literally is just here, but this is like the main part, by J.K. Rowling. It's 80 pages. I gave it 3 stars. It's good if you want to like a little something to motivate you. Like if it's in a thrift shop or it's in a library and you're feeling really down, read it. It might uplift your spirits a bit. It's literally what she told the graduating students of Harvard one year though. So you could also just probably find the video online or find the thing for free online somewhere. I'm not super like, I don't know why it's in book form. I didn't buy this. I got this from my sister because someone gave it to her as a grad present 6 or 7 years ago. So yes, because I'm a believer of we don't throw away books. But yeah, it's not awful. Not the greatest. You could probably find other books very similar to this by different authors. So there's that. Next book is a book that's very near and dear to my heart, and I wish it wasn't an illustrated version, which is why it has a lower rating than you might think it does, but I'm Canadian, so. Anne of Green Gables by Ella Montgomery. This is the great illustrated classics version, so it has pictures in it, like pictures. I'm not a fan of pictures in my book, so I only gave it 3 stars. I do really want to read the original, because I've never actually read the original. I've watched the original movie with, oh, what's her name? I forget her name now, but I watched the original movie, and I watched the TV show, and it's very also near and dear to my heart because I was Diana in my first ever professional production. So yeah, it's very near and dear to my heart. I highly recommend this to anyone. It's a Canadian classic. It follows a little orphan girl named Anne who from Nova Scotia, Halifax, I'm pretty sure. And she gets adopted by these 2 siblings who are older, I think they're about 50, 60, who live in a farm called Green Gables in the town of Avonlea and in Prince Edward Island. And it just kind of follows her adventures, and then she goes to school and she like meets people and she like experiences life because because before this she had lived a very different past and everything. It's very fun. It's very like whimsical, like cute book. I love this book and the series and everything, so I highly recommend. But if you are interested in this book specifically, it's only 286 pages, and yeah, really recommend. The next book I have a hard time recommending because my whole family was after me for reading this book for years, and I finally read it. By the way, I'm reading lots of old books because I just got a lot of old books. Like I brought them here with me to where I live now. Thief of Always by Clive Barker. This book is terrifying. The fact that children are meant to read this book is very like, okay, not terrifying like Stephen King terrifying, but like it's pretty creepy. It's not the little happy dance that you might normally do. I gave it 3.5 stars purely because I don't like creepy things, and my family knows this, so I don't know if it was a sick joke, but they were like, it's such a good book, and it is really well written. It's a good story, it has a good message, from what I understand, but it's not my cup of tea. It also has really creepy pictures. If I'm correct, there's one right on the homepage for you. It's filled with stuff like that, so don't read it before bed like I was doing. It's 225 pages so it's relatively short. Yeah, it's about this little boy who gets invited to go to this holiday house, and the holiday house is where it's the same day every day, and it's like you get whatever you want, and it's like a kid's dream, but obviously that's too good to be true and stuff happens. Yeah, that's the theme of always. It is a good book, very well written, just beware it's creepy. I feel like not a lot of people say that. I'm sorry if you hear voices. I do live with roommates. I hear them, but I don't know if you guys can, so yeah. Oh no, I've dropped it on the floor, whatever. The next book I don't have on my desk right now. I don't feel like stopping and restarting this whole thing again. Is this Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. It is a novella of the Thunder and Glass series that takes place before the whole series. It has 5 short stories in it. I gave it 4 stars. I love the series. I'm rereading it right now. I have to read 2 more and then I'm done, and it's gonna be done before the end of the year. I'm very excited. It's adventurous, it's dark, it's tense. I found it quite fast-paced personally. It is my 3rd time reading it, so maybe that's why I know what's gonna happen. It's kind of about this assassin. The prequels, the novella, is about this assassin who, like, it's about her adventures of an assassin before the beginning of the series. So I really enjoy it, and I'd highly recommend. Okay, the next book I also do not have with me at the moment because my roommate lent it to me. It is called Lore Olympus Volume 2 by Rachel Smith. I love the series. I love anything to do with mythology. I want to get more into mythology again. I used to love it so much. I mean, I still do, but I used to be more obsessed with it than I am today. Like, any type of mythology, like Norse, Greek, Roman, anything, I will devour. I gave 4 stars, fast-paced, 368 pages. What I will say about this book is, I don't know if I mentioned last time, but it does have some darker undertones. Like, it might look really bubbly because it's like pink and blue and it's like vibrant, and the drawing style seems more like, I don't want to say kiddish, but like it's not as, it doesn't look like something from the naked eye that could have darker themes, and it does, and I feel like people don't realize that. So there are those things if you do want to read this book, or these series in general, to be wary of, because I wasn't realizing it when I read into it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, it's very, very good. If you like the whole haze and sesame thing, you'll like this. Next is Throne of Glass, the very first book of the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I give this one 4 stars. It's 406 pages. It is a fantasy book, and fast-paced, adventurous, dark, and mysterious. Yeah, I found this really weird. This is the only book in the series I found that's actually, like, truthfully very mysterious. It's like kind of like a murder mystery-esque. It's like she's fighting for something. She's fighting for a spot at something, but at the same time she's trying to solve a murder mystery, essentially. If that's kind of the vibe it gives. It's really weird, like, if you explain it like that, but it's essentially what it is. I enjoyed it very, very much, and I really think other people do. It's a YA book. Most of the books I read are YA, but yeah, I've read this book so many times and I do really enjoy it, so I recommend. Okay, next one, Crown of Midnight. You see the trend? I'm trying to read this whole series. Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. 4 stars. No, 3 stars and 3.75 stars. It's 420 pages. This is purely because I don't like this book as much as other parts of the series. In my opinion, the second book really drags a lot. It's not very... to me, it feels like filler between the third one, the first and the third one. The third one's like when stuff hits the fan. You're like, oh my god, what's happening? The second one's like a lot of setup, but it's like setup that couldn't be done in the first one, but it's stuff that really need to be done for the third one. So like, it's understandable, but you really need to like push yourself through it sometimes. So that's why I only have 3.75 out of stars. So yeah. The next book I read is tied for being my favorite for the series. Is Heir of Fire, as well as by Sarah J. Maas. It is the third book in the Thornglass series. To me, it is my favorite one. It is 565 pages. This is where the page count starts to go up for this series. It's more romantic, it's more dark, it's more intense, it's more what's happening. Like, this is where you also get information overload, I find, which some people don't like. Some people like information gradually. This is what I think would be information overload, as well as it feels like a different story once you get to this book. Like, I remember seeing other people review this series and be like, oh, once you're in the third book, it's like a completely different thing, which is fair. But I like the vibe that this part gives way better than the first two. Like, I love the first book. The second was eh, but this one was like, okay, yeah, we like this. But yeah, I really recommend. This is like one of my favorite books of all time, I would think. One of them. I see that book a lot because I'm a very easy reader. If I read the book and then I'm like, don't have a negative emotion towards it, like, if I'm not dragging my feet through it, I will say it's a really good book. So yeah. Next one I read was actually one I read for class. I do not have a rating for it because since I read it for class, I didn't really want to rate it. It is a play. It is Edith Can Shoot Things and Hit Them. It is a play by A. Ray Pamata. It is about three kids in, I think, about the 90s. Okay, it doesn't say 90s, but I'm pretty sure what we discussed it in class was like the 90s or 80s. It's about these three kids who live in rural America, two of which are brother and sister, and they're Filipino Americans, and the one is a friend of the older brother. It's it's a very good story. I enjoy it. Sorry, I'm having hiccups all of a sudden. It's 90 pages, so if you do want to read it, it's very quick. I recommend it. It was honestly quite an interesting story, and it was very fun to analyze, so yeah, I'd recommend. Okay, the next one. Oh, you guys are gonna love me. Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. This one is 656 pages long, and it's 4.5 stars. I really like this one. It's not my favorite in the series, but it's very good. Pretty much after Heir of Fire, things start to go crazy. So it's like this book and the next one are like, oh my god, there's so much happening, and it's kind of hard to understand what's happening all the time. But it's very good. So yeah. Also, these books get chunky. Like, look at that. So yeah, they're very thick books. I know some people don't like that. Okay. That's it for September. Oh my god, coffee break. Coffee break. Okay, we're on to October of 2022. First book I read, I do not have with me because I do not own it. My roommate lent it to me. Let's just say any book I do not have, I read it either on Kindle, which my roommate lent me, or she lent me an actual physical book. Essentially, that's what's happening. The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. From what I remember, I read this one a lot when I was on the bus, so it's gonna be confusing for me. But from what I remember, it was like about this girl who wanted to like woo the king because she just wanted to like, you know, like it's like if the Haven Times, like where the women had to like be sold, like be prepared to have a life, and she didn't want like just anyone. She wanted the king. It was all right. It could tell it's not very memorable. Give it 3 stars. It's 320 pages, so it's not a very long book. Yeah. Oh, my shoulder's cracked. The next book I read was Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. 3.75 stars. Emotional, tense, fast-paced, 392 pages. This is another Hades and Persephone retelling, if I'm correct in which book this is. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in which book this is. I liked it. I will say it gets really hard to you can't read too many Hades and Persephone retellings at once, or else they all get meshed in your head, which is what I was realizing. It was okay. I don't know if I'll read the rest of the series, because I don't own them, and I borrowed it, and my roommate didn't like the other one, so yeah, I don't know. It was okay. It was like pretty much just like Persephone, same type of story. Like her mom just hates the idea of her living somewhere else, and Hades like owns a club, like owns all the clubs, and like, you know, it's kind of like Lower Olympus-ish. I don't know, it just felt very like I've read this before. The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Arms. I wrote the name really messily. 4 stars. Emotional, sad, fast paced, 474 pages. I enjoyed this one. I will say, I'm getting into romance and rom-com books. I really like them. I find like the world's really dark, or I'm really stressed because of all my stuff I have to do, and just sitting down and reading like a really fun, fast-paced like romance where you know it's gonna end like happy is so fun. So I'm getting really into them, and this one is no exception. It's essentially about this girl who's from Spain, who's living in America, and has to go back for her sister's wedding, but she doesn't want to go back because it's a small town, and when her and her ex broke up, it was like this big thing, and so she's like, oh my god, I need to. It's really kind of like, you know what's gonna happen, but you still want to read anyways. So yeah, the next one I read was actually another one for class. Do I not have it here? Well, I don't know where I put it, which is kind of concerning. Oh well, it's called Epic Proportions, by Larry Cohen and David Crone. It is about 40 pages. It's very short. It's about these 2 friends who, this is like in the 30s or 40s, I think. These 2 friends, they want to become actors. So one really wants to become an actor, one not so much. They decided to go all the way to California, if I'm correct, to become like extras in a movie, and it's really wild. Like the stuff that happens within 40 pages is a lot because it's a play. But yeah, it was really good. I liked it. I chose that one, so I guess I have to like it because I chose it. But yeah, the next one we read is also for class, was Fairview by Jackie Sibley's Drury. God, how do I explain this? The best I can say is you just have to either read it yourself or watch it yourself. It is the most confusing play I've ever read, which is saying a little. I've read my fair amount of plays and monologues. This is a very confusing one, but it's very good. It deals with a lot of it talks about lots of the issues with I don't know how to put this. It talks about lots of issues regarding racial stereotypes and issues that like how people think about themselves and think about how like, oh, I'm not racist, but really they are and stuff. It's very eye-opening. It's very makes you think a lot, which I think is sometimes we need to do. It's a bit of a longer one. I think it's 120 pages, but again, I really I would recommend a lot to read. Yeah. Next one I read was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. 5 stars. I know this isn't like the best writing you could ever have or like the best story, but it was just, I read it so fast and so quickly. It was so good. Like you can't like, it was only 306 pages too, so it wasn't even like that long. But yeah, I really recommend it. I don't know what to say about it. It's like about this graduate, I think PhD student who like is awful at public speaking, and her grouchy professor is like trying to help her, I guess you could say, he likes no one, It's like Grumpy X Sunshine-ish. Yeah, we like. Next I read was Kingdom of the Curse by Carrie Maniscalco. 3.75 stars, 448 pages. If you don't remember, I read Kingdom of the Wicked back in August. I like that book much better than the second one. Personally, I found it better. I find the second book in series usually tend to be like the not as good ones, because they're like the middle ones. That's just my opinion. It was still a good book. I still do want to reread the whole series. I think of it in one day. Just that one's not the strongest. Kingdom of the Feared, also by her. Carrie Maniscalco, I'm butchering your name, I'm so sorry. 4 stars, and it's 464 pages. I think that one's a bit better. I don't know, I just like the ending. I read these books in like a couple days, so I don't really know what to say. It's like the 7 deadly sins, and witches, and vampires, I think, and werewolves, and very, very littly based in Sicily, but like old Sicily. It was like a lot. But yeah, if you're into that, yeah, and like demons and stuff too. It's a wild ride that I would recommend. But that ends October. Now we're into November, which didn't read that many, so we're almost done, which is good. First one I read of November. Oh, this chunky one, Empire of Storms. 5 stars. This is also up for a rating of my favorite book of the series. It is 689 pages long. It's a substantially large book. It's very good. How do I say this? In my opinion, this is like take out your soul and crush it. That's what this book does. That's what I'm gonna say about it. Okay. My book stack is falling. Okay. The next book I read was It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. 4 stars, emotional, lighthearted, fast-paced, 396 pages. This book was cute. I liked it. I wasn't a super big fan of the love interest. It's about this girl who is really rich and popular, and then all of a sudden she just gets like, oh, you're not supposed to, like, she gets dumped, and so she doesn't want to be like, how to put this? She doesn't want the news or like the tabloids to be like, oh, she got dumped. She wants it to be about her being cool because like she's the stepdaughter of this like famous director, I think it is, or producer. So she's like, I'm gonna go break into a hotel and throw a massive pool party so everyone thinks about that. Naturally, she gets arrested. And then she kind of gets told that you have to go to where your dad actually lived, and like you have to prove that like you know how to do stuff and that you can look after yourself in this little rinky-dinky town in the middle of nowhere. I think it's in it's near Seattle. I don't know the geography of the states very well, but it's near Seattle. That's all I remember. And she just like fix up a bar. Her sister goes with her. It is very interesting. It was very good. I enjoyed it. I'm just terrible with explaining things. The next one I read was the sequel to it, Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, 3.75, funny, hopeful, fast-paced, 385 pages. If you did not know, this was about the sister and her love interest in the very same town. I liked it a bit less, mostly because I found the story was more rich and more fulfilling in the first one. I'm not saying the second one isn't, I'm just saying the second one was kind of like, it felt like an afterthought, probably because it was an afterthought. Nothing bad against it, just, yeah. Next one I read was Really Disappointment. I own it. It's an Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerston. 3.5 stars, adventurous, medium pace, and only 300 pages, so it's not very long. Here's the thing, it's a good book. To me, it feels like kind of like Holly Black's, like how mystical some of her books are. It's about fairies. It's about this girl who paints. They call, what did they call it now? Shoot, I wonder if I can find it quick. She paints fair folk, essentially. She paints their portraits for them. And in return, she doesn't get payment like gold or anything. She gets payment by protection charms. And she meets the Prince of Autumn, who's like kind of scary. And stuff happens. I had really high hopes because I love Sorcery of Thorns. It is one of my favorite books of all time, and I'm really looking forward to reading Vespertine by her. This just wasn't very strong, and it really is too bad because I love her writing and her stories. It just wasn't as strong as other books, and I found it was very forgettable and not very, it didn't lure me in like it should have. So, yeah. Next one was All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. 4 stars, Adventures Mysterious, 373 pages. I enjoyed this book. It definitely wasn't the best book I've ever read, which again, it's fine. I read a lot of books. I'm almost at 100 books this year. I found some parts I was like really trying to like just get through it. While other parts I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't know if I'll read the second book. I might try it. This is more about like the kingdom has to like look after everyone else, like, because only certain people can have certain magical abilities that they shouldn't train multiple or else the world will end. And the princess has like this really scary one involving blood and stuff. I don't know. It's a very confusing way to explain it, but it is a good story, and the plot twists you don't actually see happening, which I do like. So yeah, next one, A Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout, 5 stars. Oh, I love this series. It's 650 pages. This is from A Fire in the Ash, I think was the first one. Flesh and Blood was the other series. I actually like this series more. I think I'm saying it right. It could be opposite. This is about the like gods and stuff, which I love. I like the characters so much. I find it so funny these immortal beings are so like petty with each other. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It was just so good. It's the second book in the series. I can't say much, but that's also saying it was the second book in the series, and I was like, oh my god. It definitely starts off like when you read it, it's like, whoo, you're going. But yeah, and that's the last book I read. So I hope you all enjoyed. You can tell I'm nearing the end. I will get 100 books this year. I'm at 92 right now. I'm halfway through another book. I have 2 more books to read, and I want to read some Christmas books because it's around Christmas time. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this lovely video as much as I did, and I guess I'll see you all next time. And tell me what you guys are reading because I want more book recommendations. Okay, bye.